Hey guys, we are doing more Tom Ford eyeshadow quad videos. Today we are doing the De La Creme quad, and I asked on my Instagram stories which one you wanted to see next. I've done Mink Mirage, Noir Fumé, and I asked if you guys would want to see the De La Creme, the Sous le Sable, or the Arabesque quad, and you guys voted for this one. But I will be doing videos on the Sous le Sable tomorrow, and then why do I keep forgetting the Arabesque quad? After that, I just wanted to see what you guys were most interested in, and it was this beautiful lady. So, you know, Tom Ford came out with 5 new eyeshadow quads, and I definitely feel like I'm starting to sound like a broken record. But if this is either your first video with me, or maybe you just haven't seen my previous 2, like the Noir Fumé or the Mink Mirage, I will just mention that I ordered those 2 off of Selfridges, which was $74 for the US. And the rest of these 3 quads I ordered from Nordstrom, which is the regular $88 for the eyeshadow quads. So very consistent with the eyeshadow quads that Tom Ford has been releasing lately, probably the past couple of years. These 5 new eyeshadow quads consist of like the pressed kind of powder formula, the more traditional formula, versus his wet dry baked formula, which we saw in the Soleil Neige, which we saw in Body Heat, in Double Indemnity, Suspicion, which we originally saw in like the New Dip and the Honeymoon quads. So these are not those. These are more of like the pressed powdered shadows. And this formula has changed. They have quote unquote improved it. I don't think it's an improvement. I think it's different, but it's very, very similar. So this is the 3rd quad that I'm trying, and I'm really enjoying them. I really like the Mink Mirage. I really, really like the Noir Fumé. This one I really love too. Obviously, I have it on my eyes today. There will be a demo of it at the end of this video. So like I mentioned, the formula is different, but I am having success with them so far. So why don't I go ahead and show you some swatches of this quad. I basically went from light to dark. And so the first 2 shades are the satin shades, and then the bottom 2 shades, or the 2 shades on the right, are matte shades. This shade right here is such a great transition shade. For some reason, I love like mid-tone browns with a hint of mustard in them. I don't know what it is. I don't know if maybe it's my skin coloring or what, but I love it. And that's what this brown is. It just has like a little bit of like yellowy orange in there, and I just think it makes for just like the perfect transition shade. I put it into like my socket line area after I put down the satin shades. Again, you'll see it in the demo, but it gives like just enough dimension there, and it's so pretty. I think all of these shades blended out beautifully. I used all 4 of the shades here, and in the demo you'll see like how pigmented the dark matte shade is. This one, again, I use very lightly. These 2 shades are all over my lid, and I just think they're so pretty. You just get this really gorgeous like satiny look, and this, like the Noir Fumé, I think can go from like day to night. I think you can obviously, like, I feel like the look that I have on is very day. I don't think it's like very flashy or over the top or too smoky, but I think you could very easily smoke out any look by just, you know, adding any of these mattes in there and really building it up. And I think you could have like a really nice kind of like evening, dinner, cocktail party kind of look. Very, very versatile. And I think if you like warm tones, this is probably going to be the quad for you. The Noir Fumé, very neutral. The Mink Mirage, very, very neutral. This is definitely the warmest of the bunch. So when I first looked at all of the 5 quads online, I really thought they looked all very, very similar. And I thought, gosh, you probably only need one. You don't need all of them, and you don't need any of them. But my point is, they are actually quite different when you kind of like separate all of them and take a look at each one individually. Like I said, all the tones are different between all 5 of them. And what I thought I would have more success with, which is being able to find previous quads in the Tom Ford line that were very similar to these, I really don't. I really don't see any quads that are like similar dupes to these quads. I was thinking maybe this one was going to be similar to Iris Bronze, but I'm going to hold up the 2 of them here. They're not really close at all. This one is Iris Bronze, which is, you can probably see in that brown especially that it has like almost like a red undertone. This one's just much more of like a straightforward, like warmer kind of quad. And then here's Golden Mink, which I thought, I don't know, maybe there was something there because of the 2 satins on top. I thought there would be a little bit more of like a closer look to these, but again, not really. This one is like much cooler and much more shimmery than this one. I did think when I first looked at this one that maybe this was kind of like the pressed powder version of the wet dry formula of the Suspicion quad. So let me just hold up those two for you. So here is Suspicion, obviously. So I do think the color stories between these two are very, very similar. If you kind of take away the finish on Suspicion, I think it's very, very close. So why don't I go ahead and swatch the 4 De La Creme shades next to the 4 Suspicion shades, just so you can see if you need both. I mean, I think because the finishes are completely different, you'll get a completely different look. But if it's just the colors that you really like, maybe it'll be helpful for you to take a look. So the Suspicion swatches will be on the right. And then here it is next to Cocoa Mirage. I'm sure some of you are curious. Again, not very similar, not very close. The tones are fairly different. The De La Creme is warmer than the Cocoa Mirage. Oh, and then here is another one I thought maybe it could be kind of close. This is Leopard Sun from last year, but Leopard Sun is much deeper. It's much, much more vibrant. The De La Creme is a little bit more, I don't know, everyday. And then there's this topper shade in Leopard Sun, which we don't see in the De La Creme. And then last but not least, I feel like this is just painful to bring up. So here are Cognac Sable and De La Creme next to one another. The Cognac Sable is just an overall richer looking quad. The De La Creme is definitely more, you know, everyday. The Cognac Sable, for sure, you could wear every day. You could wear daytime, you could wear evening. And I do think this was more medium to deeper skin tone friendly versus this one, which I think, you know, up to maybe medium, this could work. But I do think the matte shades are going to get lost a little bit on deeper skin tones. So those were all the quads in my collection from Tom Ford that looked kind of similar to the De La Creme, but so far these quads, as you know, ordinary as they look, or as quote unquote boring and basic as these look, they are fairly unique to the Tom Ford lineup. I really, really love them. I love the performance of this one. This one is just gorgeous. And I remember when the Suspicion quad came out, the one with the wet dry formula, I loved that color story. I love that color story. But I remember thinking, I'm like, this is not a color story I want in all shimmers. It was just like so much on my eyes that quad, out of the 3 that were released at that time, the Double Indemnity, the Body Heat, and the Suspicion, that was the one that I reached for the least. And I feel like this quad is like the answer for me. Like loving that color story, but not really digging the wet dry formula in that color story as much. I still think it's gorgeous. I love the Suspicion quad, but this one to me is just, it's just a little bit more wearable. Like for the everyday, I get enough shine out of these 2 satin shades up there. I just think the finish is gorgeous. I just absolutely love it, especially this light one. Gorgeous on the lids. It really just brightens up my whole like eye area. So I am loving this quad, and now I feel like it's a tie between this quad and the Noir Fumé in terms of which quad I'm liking the best so far. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump into the demo. Okay, I'm gonna start with the lightest satin shade here, and I've got my Chikuhodo just as eyeshadow brush on here. I think this is the Z, it's the Z something. I will link it down below in my description box. I've used this plenty of times before, but it's a pretty chubby flat shader, and I really like it when I just want to brush like a color all over my lid, which is what I want to do with this light satin shade. So just picking up some product and going to lay this down. And I'm just brushing that from the inside of my lid over the center of my lid. Really pretty, kind of like warm champagne satiny shade. Very nice. It's giving my inner lids a lot of brightness there. Yeah, I think I'm going to use the same brush, and I'm going to go into the other satin shade up here and just work that into the outer corner of my eye here and bring it in. That added some nice dimension. Next, I'm going to use this Soniaji Crease 2 brush. I'm going to go into this transition shade down here. It's a matte shade, and I'm going to pick up just a little bit, make sure I have the excess kind of tapped off. And I'm going to drag this over the top of these shades I just laid down and use it like a transition shade here. It's giving me just a little bit of that dimension in there. Really nice. I'm just taking a clean fluffy brush. This is the Soniaji Detail Pro brush, and just dragging it over that shade I just laid down just to make sure it's blended out properly. And then next I've got my Esom W36 brush. You guys know what happens when I take this brush out. I'm going to dip it into this dark brown matte shade, and I'm going to use it to add a little bit of dimension to the outer corner of my eyes. And I'm going to take that first Chikuhodo eyeshadow brush and just run that over that dark matte brown shade, again, just to kind of soften it up a little bit. I'm depending on the little bit of eyeshadow left over from these two satin shades on this brush to kind of help soften up this shade. And of course, last but not least, I'm going to take my Esom T05 brush, which is like a flat definer brush, go into that dark matte brown shade and work this into my lash line. All right, that is it for the eyeshadow quad. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up my face and I'll be right back. All right, here is my final look. I'll leave all the details of what I have on my face down below in my description box. I hope you enjoyed this video. I gave you all my thoughts on this quad at the beginning of the video, so that is it. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I will see you tomorrow for I think I'm gonna do the Sable quad next, so I will see you then.